by the end of the year, we're going to have not one, not two, but three major cloud-based gaming services. And which one do I recommend? And does that mean there's no room for these anymore?
Xbox,
Twitter, Uber,
Postmates,
Netflix, MoviePass,
Google, Facebook, eBay,
DoorDash,
Apple, Amazon, Airbnb,
The Apptrepreneur. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and boy, GameStop has had a tough year. They've had a tough several years. Their business model is definitely starting to crumble because GameStop, I mean, we talked about this on the live stream a couple days ago. GameStop built their entire business model on something that a lot of people no longer feel they need, or maybe they feel like maybe they need it, but they don't really feel like they want it anymore. And that is the used video game, where you would buy a game from GameStop, usually brand new, $50 at the time, and you would play it. And then you would beat it, and you'd get tired of it, and you'd bring it back. You trade in for like, either $5, $10 in cash, $20 in store credit, and then GameStop would sell it for $40, $50, whatever dollars. They would just do that. And, well, that business model has been failing them for a long time, not only because people are selling their own games on their own time, also people, I think, are hoarding more games as they build their collections, but digital games have definitely risen in prominence. So, as you see, GameStop is to close 200 stores, and their CEO admits that the company is in a tough place and needs to change. He actually said, "We're at the end of the console cycle. Gaming as an industry could not be stronger. It's us that needs to pivot. It's GameStop that needs to make some changes." And and he talks a lot about the brick and mortar stores. He says, "If you look at the trend of sales over the last several years, selling general administrative costs didn't move with sales, so we had a cost structure we had to address. We found it unpleasant, but we needed to do it." And the company says they have no further plans for layoffs, which, by the way, I hope is true. I don't like seeing people lose their jobs. But here's the thing, because there is a possibility that GameStop can rebound. They can figure out something new. Every business has the opportunity to do that. What's going to make the video game market particularly tough is that Apple and Google are getting into this. Now, we've kind of talked a little bit about Stadia before on this channel, but that was before Apple Arcade. Now, last week, I discussed Apple TV Plus. That was the big thing for me, but then I kind of took a little bit closer at this, and it's kind of interesting what Apple's doing and why they're talking about whether or not this is the future of gaming, which I think it's definitely going to be fun, this Apple Arcade. I just find it interesting that people's reactions to it is wildly different from that of Stadia, which was met with a much more hostile reception. So here's the thing. It's nearly fall, which means we'll all soon be able to start playing games on the Apple Arcade and Google Stadia services and stop wondering what each one may be like. We'll get a first crack at Apple Arcade, the gaming subscription service, coming September 19th, which is, I think, in a couple days at this point. These videos this week have all been filmed in advance. That will let players download and play more than 100 games exclusive to the service for their Apple devices. Then in November, Google Stadia players will be able to start streaming games if they sign up for Stadia Founders Edition. Google's service will work a bit like Netflix, where you stream games on your devices, with Google's data center handling the processing. So, yeah, by the way, here's Sonic Racing on Sega Arcade. That's definitely a console game. But here's where it gets kind of interesting about how they all, work. For Apple especially, the push into gaming is part of a larger effort to provide services tied to its hardware, its game service, video streaming platform, and even Apple Music are all compelling reasons to remain loyal to Apple's world and use an Apple device. What's most interesting about this, there's no gaming device coming out with this, which some people might say, that's for the better because they don't typically make them very well, but I think that's very strange nonetheless. For Google, it's about the cloud, and its gaming platform plays to its strength, letting players take part in a cloud-based gaming and then share gameplay through YouTube. I actually think Stadia is more about YouTube being more of a Twitch competitor than anything. So, here's when they're coming. Google said you'll be able to start playing Stadia in November by pre-ordering the Stadia Founders Edition for $130, which gets you first access to the service, a controller, and a 3-month pass to the $9.99 a month Stadia Pro. To play individual games without a subscription, you'll need to wait till 2020 and Stadia Base, which is a different level of service. And for the arcade, for iOS devices, Apple Arcade will arrive on September 19th with iOS 13. Apple Arcade will be available September 30th on iPad OS and tvOS 13 devices, and in October on Mac OS Catalina. For $4.99 a month, you can play across Apple devices. So that's how much they'll cost. By the way, Stadia Pro will have a $10 a month subscription service. And here's a game that's going to be on Apple Arcade, which actually looks pretty nice. What I find interesting about the controllers is Google will have its own $70 controller, and Apple has said some arcade games will support controllers, including Xbox wireless controllers with Bluetooth and PlayStation DualShock 4 and MFI game controller. So it does not appear that they are developing their own controller. This, I think, is going to be like an issue, to be honest. We have a screenshot of Ghost Recon Breakpoint from Ubisoft coming to Stadia, who will make the games. Google said it's working with a range of game developers, including Ubisoft and ID Software, to deliver games to Stadia. And Apple said all arcade games will be exclusive to the program and won't be available on other mobile devices or part of other subscription services. So arcade doesn't seem like a hardcore video game platform. Like, it's definitely going to be geared towards mobile devices. So anyway, here's kind of what you get and don't get. So you have the release date here. The price for Apple Arcade is $4.99 a month for 1 to 6 people. Google Stadia is free, $2.99 a month, plus price of individual games. Devices, phone, iPad, iPod Touch, Mac, and Apple TV devices. I think they meant iPhone. Anything with an internet connection and Chrome browser. Controller, yes. Number of games, 100 exclusive games to start. Unknown, but a mix of exclusive in general, which is interesting because when you go to the Wikipedia for Google Stadia, and you go down to these games, I don't see anything here that's exclusive to their platform. I see Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Marvel's Avengers, Baldur's Gate 3. I see Final Fantasy 15, which I like. I love that game, actually. Mortal Kombat 11. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. Was that for another game console? Yeah, that's for PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, all that jazz. So, okay. So I don't see necessarily any exclusive games here. I do see a lot of exclusive games for Apples. But let's look at all three of the platforms, because the question does come up, like the pros, the cons. I just got a text, sorry about that. And what does it entail? So here's what Stadia is. At least this is, I'm at the bottom of the page, I'm sorry. This is Stadia. Take game development further than you thought possible. And their whole thing is that basically you will be able to stream all your games on the cloud. You don't need a console, you just need, it can be a mobile device, it can be a computer. Basically, you're streaming it through the Chrome browser. That's how this works. However, the Stadia thing has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, because even though the barrier to entry cost is low, it's essentially nothing for the most part, because you cannot actually download the games, you will be streaming it. And if you want like 4K streaming and stuff, guess what? You're going to be eating up a lot of bandwidth. And a lot of people have actually stopped to take a look at their bandwidth. Like, I've watched Metal Jesus Rocks video, who was going to do it just to kind of review it, and then he realized that with all the Netflix and YouTube and everything he streamed, doing Stadia would not have enough bandwidth to do that. And that's why I cannot do Stadia, because I stream so many things. Even with all these discs, I still do a fair amount of streaming, and I can't be streaming my games on a browser. For that matter, I don't think my computer is good enough, and there's probably that lag issue. I don't want to buy the controller. So I think Stadia is honestly just not very good overall. I would honestly encourage people not to get too much into this one, because here's the thing, here's the other thing, because when you buy your games, you can't download them. You just stream them. You're paying $60 to stream them from a cloud, from a hard drive, somewhere. You don't exactly know where it is. And hey, it's great as long as Google keeps the servers running, but if they decide to close it, and Google has been known to close a lot of things, most recently they closed Google Hangouts, which is a very popular app of theirs, so it's not guaranteed that it'll be up there forever. Now, this is what the Apple Arcade thing looks like. As you can see, they've got some games playing in the background, and most of them look like they're mobile phone ready, like they don't require that much effort. But this one's $4.99 a month. And you do see some things they advertise, like a bunch of different Apple devices, including, I think this is a TV, so that must be the Apple TV. at that point. One subscription, all you can play. No ads, no additional purchases. Download to play online or off. Jump from iPhone to iPad, Mac, and Apple TV. Share with up to 5 family members. Committed to your privacy. And you go down, games that redefine games. Now, I think that's a little bit of a stretch because, again, these are mobile games. I don't see any Sonic the Hedgehog or anything, although the other article certainly seemed to suggest that was the case. So, yeah, like, see, this is a game that, you kind of play this a little bit. Let's just kind of go here. Like, I mean, this does look like a fun game. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't look like this is hardcore gaming. This is just mobile gaming. Now, one thing that I will definitely appreciate about the Apple Arcade is that since you are paying for it, I am hoping these games will largely lack microtransactions and loot boxes, which, I understand why you need to have them when they're free to play, but if you're paying a subscription service to play the games, then hopefully you just don't need them anymore. And these are most of the games that are coming out. So yeah, it looks like a lot of app-friendly games. You have the Lego Art House, the Sneaky Sasquatch, Frogger in Toy Town, Lifelike. Actually, Lifelike looks pretty good. Kings of Castle. Nothing too complicated. But then you have the Xbox Game Pass. Now, this one's been out for a year. This is by far the most established. And in case you couldn't figure it out at this point, it is the one that I recommend the most at the moment in time. I think the Apple Arcade is definitely something you want to do if, you like playing mobile games a lot. I think the Stadia is not a good idea at all. But the Xbox Game Pass is the true Netflix for video games that I think we need. So, and by the way, what's the first game they're advertising? Gears of War 5, an excellent game. So here's some of the games that you can play on Xbox Game Pass at the recording of this video. You have Gears 5 Ultimate Edition. You have Blair Witch. You have Kingdom Come Deliverance, Devil May Cry 5, and Resident Evil 4, a classic game. And you'll see that some of them are on Xbox, some of them PC, some of them both, some just on one. That's fine. And you can play Gears 5. Now, we also, by the way, there's some other games that they're playing. Something for everyone. We'll get back to that in a moment. Games for the whole family. How it works: 1, choose a game plan and become an Xbox Game Pass member. 2, browse the library of more than 100 high-quality games. And 3, download and play your next favorite game. So what are your plans? Well, you have the Ultimate, which includes Xbox Live Gold and unlimited access to over 100 high-quality console and PC games. Get your first 2 months for $2 and $14.99 a month. So this is PC and the console. Now, if you just want the PC, it's like $4.99 at an introductory price, and I think it's going to go up to $9.99 at some point. And if it's a console, it's $9.99. Keep in mind your Xbox controller should work regardless what you're using it for. And here's the thing. They have tons of game. Let's go to the most popular games so you can see exactly what some of your options are. You've got Gears 5. You've got Batman, Arkham Asylum, Void Bastards, Metro Exodus, Sea of Thieves, Mortal Kombat 10, Hollow Knight, Void... did that on there? Oh, I'm going to have to download that then. You can download all of these games. You can just... The Halo, the Master Chief Collection. You can download them, play them, uninstall them. Now, here is one thing that, now that we've had it for a while, we do know... Like Netflix, some of these games will be taken off the service, so there's not always a guarantee they're always going to be there. Hence why, if you want to own the game, you should still probably buy it, whether physical or digitally. I recommend physical, of course. Now, are these services going to be taking away from the physical market? And they probably will to a certain extent. And GameStop has every reason to start changing gears, to start changing tactics. They need to start figuring out different things they can do for their business. However, here's the thing. The gaming industry, particularly the gaming market, has just evolved over time. Yes, there are less people buying physical games, that is true, but the people who are buying them are especially dedicated. They're willing to pay a lot more for those games than most people would. They would particularly buy a lot of collector's editions and special editions and steel books and stuff like that. So the physical market will still exist, especially for people who just like to have the walls. They're going to become specialty products. And for everyone else who don't need to own everything, they're going to have options. So where I would rank this is the Xbox Game Pass is by far the one I recommend the most. Whether PC, Xbox, you're going to have the most variety, and you get the most bang for your buck in my opinion. Afterwards, I am assuming the Apple Arcade would be another good option. Again, it's mostly mobile games, it looks like. I don't think you're going to be seeing Batman Arkham Asylum on Apple Arcade, especially if they don't have a controller. They're going to try to push for most of those games to be mobile friendly. And then you have the Stadia, which, hey, you know what? I'm glad they're having real games on it, but you're going to be eating up a lot of bandwidth. And when you buy the games, you don't own them. And if they ever decide to take those servers down, there's a big question mark about what happens to your games. Like, I mean, Google Stadia is definitely what I consider to be all the fears gamers have of online gaming completely rolled into one. That's what I feel it is. So there's that to consider. But anyway, that's where we're going to end this discussion. What do you think? Which one of these services do you want? If you want any of them, I would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly, and you get access to my Patreon's exclusive blog. Also, with gas prices getting just a little out of control, check out the Get Upside app below. It's totally free, but you get cash back on every gas purchase. If you want more content from me, check out my other YouTube channels, Kevin T. Rodriguez, The Aptrepreneur Vlogs, and Autograph Hound. And finally, if you want to talk to me or other fellow gamers out there, check us out on the Facebook at The Aptrepreneur Hangouts. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.